Hi everybody, welcome back to Embrace the Journey with Sharon. I hope you've had an amazing week. I have a very interesting, spirited, powerful guest with us today. Her name is Valerie Fox, and I also am honored to call her friend. I'm excited about Valerie today because I know for myself, before I got to this part of where I am on my journey, there was a lot of obstacles that I came up against that were here in my head and out there through the voices of other people that would go into my head. When I stepped away from where I was 4 years ago now, I thought there was something wrong with me because I had a good job, I had a beautiful house, I was married, and I was miserable. I felt like a caged animal. I would come home from work every day and know that I did a good job, but I came home like empty inside every day. So I took a leap. And I took a leap, I think, possibly before I thought everything out. That was a lesson for me. The type of person that I am, I know that this is a lesson for me, and that sometimes things have to be a little bit, I feel anyway, a little bit more difficult for me because otherwise I lose interest.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like the universe is saying, do you really want it? Do you really want it? And so that's kind of how I am. Picture myself grabbing onto the rope that's frayed and it's got the one last fray on it, and that's it. That's when I grab onto it. But I am excited to have Val on today because she comes from a corporate world, which she was quite successful in. She was admired by many of her peers, and when she was making a decision to follow her heart versus the pocketbook, to say, there are a lot of things that come up based on that. And I know many of you are in the same situation because, you've expressed it in different ways to us. There's a searching, a seeking, a yearning going on, and everybody is looking for a fulfillment and happiness and passion and purpose in their life. So Valerie is here today to share her journey with us and where she was and where she is now. And I welcome you. Thank you so much for coming.
Sharon. Thank you for having me. Yeah. It's kind of like my journey of freedom is kind of what it was more like.
I think that's my number one passion. I know it is. Like in everything. That's a tough one, I think.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's scary.
Yeah.
The world says we have to be this. And I went on that path for a long time, I used to do secret rebellions, actually, like I'd wear something just out of dress code, just pushing the limit so much because it was like, hey, I'm still me. That was like my little trick. I'm still me. Yeah. And I'd go to those big corporate meetings and...
Yeah, because you were with a corporation that was not a local corporation, it was worldwide?
I've worked for several global providers. I worked for IBM for a long time, and then I worked for Marriott. And then I worked for Starwood Hotels for a very long time, director of sales and marketing in some very large hotels.
So they have a lot of boxes, which I call boxes, set up for the people that work under them.
Yeah.
It's this is who you are when you work for us.
Yeah, this is how we do it. And you become that, it's kind of like people forget that the job is what you do. It's not, it doesn't define you, but you allow it to start to define you.
Because you're rewarded, right? You're rewarded with
a
raise. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. It's like that. I just picture that experiment of the rat in the cage where it keeps coming back and it gets what it wants. We're rewarded when we change who we are, or what I say, leave the best of who we are in the parking lot. And we walk through the doors of a business, because most businesses want that. They don't want the best of you. Oh, leave the best of you in the parking lot, and this is what we want. And then you're rewarded in the sense of raises or moving up in the company or accolades.
Well, yeah, and especially when you work in a sales environment, it's like a goal. Here's your goal. Go get it. And you run and you run and you run and you get the goal. And the end of the month, it's like, okay, so there's no more for you. It's like, okay, the next month is starting. Let's go again.
Yeah.
And a goal is predetermined by somebody else. They set your value and your self-worth. Really. It's kind of like, and you don't have any ability to aspire or imagine anything greater. You know, to imagine is something so much greater than a goal that's handed to you.
Yeah.
And so, you
and
know.
you feel less than if you don't reach that goal. I mean, I did. I sold cars, and I remember it was the big thing, you know, it was the competition of who's going to be on the top of that board. And if you missed it, even if you only missed it by a little, even if I only missed it by a little bit, and even though I had a good month, there was still a part of me that felt like I wasn't good enough, or you know, that old.
Well, it always is. If you don't make a goal, and corporate America is great at putting out a sheet of all of your peers that are making their goal and who's at what. You know, they've learned to pit you against your peers to get you to achieve more and more and more. That's, you know, part of the rat theory.
And then they want teamwork.
Yeah.
You're working against this person, but team up.
Yeah.
And give us all you've got.
Big love. Right.
And that, but I mean, that's a mindset.
Yeah.
So how easy is it for you to go into work and feel good about going into work, you know, in that space?
Yeah, for a long time, I loved my job. You know, back when you're young, you're working 60 hours. It's like, oh my God, this is great.
And you were a single mom too, right?
Yes.
So you were driven by,
I had to, you know, I had to pay bills, but you know, it's just more and more. And it was kind of like, okay, I've got to be more. I've got to be more. I've got to be more. I'm like, I'm the only one for my child, my son. Let's see. Okay, college is coming, you know, this, and this. It's just like, you've always got to be more in the world. You can't be who you are. It's always more.
Yeah. And I hope you don't mind if I share
No, it's
this,
okay.
but Val and I are kindred spirits in a way of, we have a very rebellious heart. We've always felt that there's something more inside of us. And so when we talk of Val being in the corporate world, she had a life even before the corporate world, which was different from that stereotype of the corporate world too.
Yeah.
So you had, there was a freedom, there was a spirit about you in living and doing all these things. And then there was a point, I'm assuming there was a point in time that came where your, you know, voices maybe internal as well as external of going, well, you have a child now and you need to, you know, provide, and this is what that looks like.
Yeah, gone were the days of ski bumming around Aspen and Lake Tahoe and car shows and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all of that stuff. That was all had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the world told me I had to go back to college to get my degree. And so I went back to college to get my degree, and I was sitting there in class, and I'm realizing that it's like, wait a minute, I know more about this than they know. But society says I have to have this piece of paper.
I so get it.
I'm just like, and so I'm screaming inside to get out, and I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So I, you know, for a long time I took the hard road and didn't go get my degree. And then it stopped me in my career, of course, in my choices of, okay, stay small or climb to the six-figure. I had to go back and surrender and go, and so I went to night school. I got to tell you, I would sit in class at night and I'd just be like, oh my God, they're not really telling me this. I'm like, I already know this, and I'm paying $50,000, $60,000 to a degree to somebody who's teaching me that. It was just, you know, it was still rebellion. It was like, they say I have to have this. So I did it, and I got a bigger job, and I worked more hours, and I made more money, and I got more stress, and I was still loving it. You know, I was rebelling, but I was still loving what I was doing, because I was like, you know,
because
sales
there was
and marketing.
a sense of freedom in it,
Yes.
right? Because I mean, money is, you know, people say money is evil, and I don't believe that myself. I think
it doesn't have a conscience.
Right.
You
money,
give it.
Right. It's the energy that you give it.
Yep.
You know, when I pay for something or give a tip, I always put good energy behind it. Whenever I pass money on, because that's how I want to receive it.
Yeah.
but there is money. I don't believe anyway that money changes you as a person. I believe it enhances who you are. So if you are somebody of freedom and love and all of this, it will give you more of that. It will allow you to express more of that into the world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like, and then it just commingles, you know.
Yeah.
You get further on, you know, after I did the hotel gig, it was like, okay, I'm so done working 90 hours, 100 hours a week. Hotels don't close, right?
Yeah.
And when you are the boss, you take up the slack for everybody who calls in sick and doesn't want to be there because they want to go to the football game.
Yeah. And you're in an industry where it's a customer service industry.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, that is a pressure in itself because you're dealing with everybody else's stuff every day.
Yeah. Then I went to a global provider, another global company called Regis, because I'm thinking, okay, they close at night, you know, so it's like, how much could I work? It's like they open at 8 and they close at 5. Okay, this might be better. Same money, better. So I go do that. And I love it for a long time. We have a lot of autonomy. It's like the Wild West. It's commercial real estate. The market's fat. You know, you're making all this money. You don't see it. You're just like on this high. And then, 5 years, 6 years in, you're starting to say, okay, this doesn't fulfill me anymore.
Yeah.
You start to look at your life and say, okay, I'm sitting at my desk at 9 o'clock at night working on a deal for my boss that isn't going to acknowledge it after the first of the month because they're going to want another one. The boss is with them. What's in it for me? It's like, then I'm done. And so I really started, I really started looking at it and looking for, within me, like, what brings me joy? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? That's like the huge, what's my purpose? My purpose cannot be working for a company that, my purpose is to give back to mankind. And it's like, and I'm not giving back to mankind, I'm just filling somebody's pocket. It's kind of where I started to go with it. And so I really started searching. So I started, doing some classes and, working and starting to honor more of my personal gifts instead of being in the box. I started to allow the box to
self-exploration. Who's Val? Who's Val now? What makes me happy? And I think that our passions and the things, like you said, that bring you happiness and joy, those are the breadcrumbs to our purpose. And I have yet to meet somebody who is happy, joyful, fulfilled because they're living their purpose and following their passions, that is not doing well in life.
Well, yeah, because it's the vibration of joy. It's in sync with your soul. It's who you came here to be. It's what you brought humanity. And it's like, we come in with it as these little cute little beings, and then we get desensitized out in the world, and the box comes, and then we go in the box, and we, live our life, and we think it's great and stuff, and then there starts to be resistance,
But a lot of people don't recognize that. They don't know what it is. I think that they're just like, I'm unhappy, but this is the way it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that way, people.
Well, you really, you have to start paying attention to synchronicities, but you also have to start knowing that there's something greater for you. Like and if you don't know, it's like start exploring. Like what brings you joy? Make a list. It's kind of like, okay, well, all the things that bring me joy, all the things I could be without, just possibilities. There's nobody's putting it in a box. It could be anything.
So what brought you joy?
Well, I had a lot of intuitive gifts. And to be in sync with the universe using those intuitive gifts. At first I used them in my sales. I knew when somebody came in, if they were supposed to be there, if they were the right energy to be there, what they would pay, and work a deal. But it was in co-creation. We were co-creating something for them. So that's how first I started to use it. But that's what, it started to feel so good. It was like, oh, it's a good day today. But what ended up happening is I got more rules in work, and I got more structure. I didn't have the autonomy that we used to have. They started getting bigger and bigger, and there was more and more and more and more and more. And finally I'm like, oh my God, I can't even do that. And so what really was bringing me joy was I started doing on the side, evenings, weekends. And I started, seeing private clients and things like that through, I did classes and got some certifications, past life regression and things like that. And I started doing that on the side. You do first you work on your friends. It's like, hey, let me try this out on you.
Yeah.
And then when you get braver and you start to say, oh, I am good at this. This feels good.
Yeah.
You start to take a little step, a little leap of faith, and you start to move forward a little bit more. And I did weekends and stuff. And then I was like, this feels really good. It's like, I don't know how you describe the feeling. You just come in harmony with who you are. And it's like, it's the moment where the angels come down and sing, and you're just like, you're illuminated, and you're like, wow. So this is what I've been missing all this time.
Yeah, and I think it is this, I have to say, I think that there's still some type of stress, but it's different.
Oh, yeah.
Because you make it.
Yeah. Well, you got to be brave, and you got to have courage.
Yeah.
And
So tell us about that moment, because, so now she's in the corporate world. She's, doing this on the side. You're recognizing that I'm comfortable and I'm happy in this, but that big question of the almighty paycheck, which scares a lot of us.
It took me 2 years to get rid of the resistance of the paycheck. I was like, it was a good paycheck and bonuses and commissions and everything. It really, it was just like, I'd accept those, but then I'd start looking at what else I could do outside of. And that's when I started being more serious about what brought me harmony. That's when I started charging, so that I could see that, oh yes, people will pay. It was kind of like a test for a while, because I had to. It's like I had 1 foot here and 1 foot here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not ready to jump over the cliff yet, but I'm looking down there going, I'm thinking about taking the leap, but I've got to see, And so I started taking money. It's more like, oh God, I don't know if I'm ready to go there yet, but I'm looking, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of what it was. So it's like where it really comes in is like you start testing it, but really what it's about, it's you have to have faith, you have to trust. If you don't trust, and it took me 2 years to completely trust that.
And you're talking about trusting yourself.
Yeah, trusting myself, trusting the universe.
Ooh, I'm just like, I got that numb thing going on, but I'm all like right
you got the
here.
Lumps? Yeah, it's kind of like, it's, you got to test it. You know what I mean? And then the universe gives you a message, and it's like, oh, this is good. And you get all, you can do the happy dance and everything like that. You're like, wow, that felt really good. And then when you start to get more of it, it's like you can't go back to here anymore, because this starts to just become who you are.
Yeah.
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
So,
and when you say you get a message from the universe, I don't know about you, but I started asking more too. At first you don't. Things just start to happen, for me anyway. Things just start to happen, and then I literally start to ask the universe, okay. And then with doing that, you become more aware and see the blessings and the magic and everything starting to come together.
Well, and I was kind of doing that. I was using that. I was asking, what's this guy going to pay? Let's do this deal. Is this the right person for my space? I was doing that, and that's what kept me on top, really.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was asking about that, and then I'd go home and be like, okay, so show me what I need to do. And then there'd be a synchronicity, like somebody be put in my path. Or a class would come up, or somebody would call me and say, hey, I need help. And it's like, and then when you help, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing, you changed my life. And when you hear, oh my God, that was amazing enough, what is that? That's validation.
Yeah, that's validation.
So you can
you're
start
doing
to
what
trust.
you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Your purpose. Yeah. So what are you doing? Who is Val?
Well,
Who's the joy-filled Val?
I started a company called the Soul Repair Shop, because that's what I do. I repair souls. And that was giving to me. I asked for about a week or so, and it was just brilliant.
Ask and it will be given.
Yes.
Esther Hicks, love that.
Yeah. Well,
Law of attraction.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. If we don't ask, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So I do, I went and got Reiki certification. I'm a Reiki master. So I do shamanic Reiki because, once the rebel, always the rebel. I couldn't stay in that box of Reiki. I had to bring my shamanic studies into, and bring in the elements of the earth and sky and everything. So I do a lot of shamanic Reiki. I do past life regression in a very healing formula. The past life is this part, but we do a lot of healing in above that life. And that's really where the soul repair comes in. It's like, we do soul retrieval, we bring peace, love, release, understanding, knowing what your path is, that kind of stuff.
All the things that many of us are seeking.
Yeah.
Many of us are seeking that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I'm so glad to have you here today, and I'm going to invite you back because I know we could talk for
forever.
And I know that the people in our community would like to learn more as well. So what I want to invite you to do is to go to the website, and when you click on Embrace the Journey, you'll see a thing saying learn more about Sharon's guests, and we'll have a bio up there for Val because she does many things, and it'll link you back to her site so you can find out more. Also, you deal with meditation, and you're going to be having a class coming up in the month of May.
Yes.
So they can get information on that, and that's a local class.
Yes, there's one here. I'm doing one in Montana as well, and down the road we'll be doing one in Seattle and one in Denver as well.
Okay, good. So people can find out more about that too. So as I always end the show, I always say to embrace the journey.
Yes.
Because because when we do, life becomes amazing. And I'm going to ask Val to just kind of close us out today.
Well, big gratitude. I want to give big gratitude, and I want to encourage everybody out there. You just have to, faith is just trusting the magic. If you're thinking about changing your life, trust. Just start to trust, and it can happen if you believe.
And gratitude is one of the key elements.
Gratitude is huge. I can't even explain how huge it is. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you, too.
Thank you, sweetie, very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.